On the eve of the G20 Summit, where global leaders are set together in Johannesburg, first business leaders will be engaging in the B20 Summit. Now, the B20 will be held from the 18th of November until the 20th of November in Sandton. And for more on what we can expect, we are now joined by Black Business Council CEO Kganki Matabane and Business Unity South Africa CEO Khulekani Mathe. They join us now via our video links. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. Now, Khulekani, I'd like to start off with you. I mean, as BUSA, you are indeed the host organization for the country's B20 Summit. And when it comes to the B20, what does this moment signal for South Africa?
Good evening, Bali, and to the viewers of Full View. So this is a very big moment for South Africa, and a big moment for the business community in South Africa, because, as you said, between the 18th and the 20th, we will have business leaders from across the G20 community, as well as other invited countries who will be in South Africa converging here to really have discussions about what are the critical priorities that, from a business point of view, should be the focus of the Business Leaders Summit, but also be the focus of the global community going forward in order to propel the global economy towards higher levels of growth. So this is a very, very significant moment.
All right. And Kganki, coming to you now, I mean, building up to this B20 Summit, I mean, you had aired your views as the Black Business Council and have raised your frustrations when it comes to certain issues. Maybe then give us an insight in terms of building up to the B20. Do you think that enough was done to involve all businesses in the country?
Thank you very much, and good evening, Bali, and to my colleague Khulekani. The BBC is not involved in the B20 because BUSA, which is basically the one that is running B20 in that channel, so they've insisted on using Bain & Company and McKinsey for B20 as what they call a knowledge partners. And as we all know, and these two companies have accepted, it's all over the media. These are the two corrupt organizations that one of them nearly collapsed SARS. The second one nearly collapsed the country through state capture. And in our view, as a principled organization that is against corruption, that condemns corruption, whether it's committed by a black person or a white person, we are against using corrupt organizations for B20. And we suspect maybe because BUSA is using them because they are white, because you know there's a white privilege in South Africa where white people are treated differently. And as such, we don't want to be part of participating in that, because one or the other it means we're actually promoting corruption, and that's not what we do. And we're calling on President Ramaphosa and the government to reject the report, because they are indirectly themselves promoting and accepting a report that was drafted by a corrupt organization or corrupt organizations. History will judge President Ramaphosa and government very, very harshly for promoting corruption.
And Khulekani, coming back to you, I mean, some of these issues that Kganki is raising is something that they've been quite vocal about as BBC. What do you have to say now that we are edging closer to the B20, and it seems as if they still have not changed their tune?
So look, a few days before the B20, I really don't think that it's the best use of time to respond to the BBC on these issues. We've had lots of time where we've engaged the BBC, so they've decided to stay on the sidelines of the B20. What I would rather do in this moment is to really rally South Africans to be part of this important moment. Building up to this, the G20 has a number of what is referred to as engagement forum. The B20 is one of them. There's one for labor, for think tank, and so on. So many South Africans various sectors of the economy have been participating in these different deliberations. We're now coming to the end of that process where recommendations coming from a wide range of actors will be presented to the leaders of the G20, and that I think is what should be the focus. So, contrary to what Kganki is saying, in fact, we had about 1,400 people who participated in the various task forces of the B20. And many of them, more than 50% of them being South Africans, and the rest coming from the rest of the G20 community who have deliberated on the recommendations that we put forward. And so it is entirely untrue that this is a report drafted by whoever Kganki calls corrupt and all of that stuff. The fact of the matter is that we have had a year in which we've engaged the business community in this country and abroad, and we've come up with what we believe are recommendations that will take this country forward if implemented, and indeed the African continent and all of the B20 community business, B20 community businesses.
And Kganki, going back to you, I mean, have you raised these issues with government? And I trust that I'm sure you have, I mean, because this has been in the build-up for a number of months now. And what has been government's response to you with some of the issues that you have raised? I mean, the other issues, looking at the other issues you have raised, is the issues around the involvement of black businesses, the involvement of businesses which are women-led as well as youth-led to be involved in this B20. What has government's response been to some of the concerns you have raised in the build-up to the B20?
Yeah, we will engage everyone. We've engaged Busa, and as you can hear from Khulekani, he's not denying that they are using the corrupt Bain and McKenzie. They are continuing to do that even after we've raised the issue many times. So they are promoting corruption as they are sitting here. We've spoken to the president, we've spoken to government. President has asked Minister Daud to work on the issue, but it looks like nothing has actually happened. So we can't, as a country where black people are 93% of the country, you cannot have a situation where you have a session that people claim is important, that exclude the majority. Because remember, Busa only represent big business, and we represent black business, women-owned businesses, youth-owned businesses, businesses owned by people living with disabilities. So government and Busa, they are continuing to perpetuate the exclusion of the majority. And we can't just sit and listen and watch. It's our responsibility to raise the issues. Whether people like the issues or not, we raise them anytime we want to raise them. We don't have to wait for anyone to give us permission. We don't need anyone's permission. We raise the issues when we want to raise them. We are not reporting to anyone. We're reporting to our members.
And Khulekani, I mean, we are now just a few days, away from seeing the B20 being held, and a number of South Africans, I'm sure, want to find out when we do see the B20 kickoff, what do you want, this to prioritize, particularly with some of the issues facing businesses in South Africa?
Thanks, Mbali. And let me just, before I answer your question, just address what my colleague Kganki is saying. They must accept that they made a huge miscalculation in deciding to stay out of this. They hope that they will persuade the government, but clearly they can't be the only ones who are right here when everybody has actually seen what we presented to them, that it is a credible case for getting involved, including the government. And you will see, Mbali, when the summit starts, that there will be people from a cross-section of the population, young and old, black and white, and obviously from other countries. So the idea by the BBC that only they are right and that somebody is excluded is furthest from the truth. The fact is, they chose to be left out. Now they're not part of this, and they're trying to throw stones from the outside. It's unfortunate because we had invited them to be part of this, but they decided to stay out. Coming back to your question, as I've said, this is an opportunity for us, firstly, to as the president has been saying continuously, to put our best foot forward. to show that we're a country that is open for business. There will be immediate benefits, for the tourism sector, etc., with all of the visitors coming here. But there will also be medium to long-term benefits arising out of people having experienced our country and seeing what our country has to offer, which would be in the form of investment, the form of long-term business relationships for both large and small businesses. And so again, I can assure you that the engagement forums that have been taking place in the lead up to this moment have included a wide range of stakeholders. In fact, if you think about the government side of things, just about all of the ministries have been leading engagement fora with their counterparts across the world, as well as the sections of the population that they serve. So this is a big moment for the country where we really are in a position to lead global policy on a range of issues. And that's what we should be focusing on.
All right, gentlemen, unfortunately, I have run out of time, but thank you so much for your contributions. That is Black Business Council CEO Kganki Matabane, as well as Business Unity South Africa CEO Khulekani Mathe. They are responding to some of the issues being raised by the Black Business Council. And of course, when it comes to BUSA, they are the host organization for the B20, also then dispelling some of the issues which have been raised by the BBC.